Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar recording for how to increase downloads and keep app users engaged. My name is David Dombrowski, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Instant Encore. And during today's webinar, we're going to address a question that we often receive from our clients, which is, how do I get more downloads? So we're going to discuss the 5 keys to acquiring downloads and motivating app usage. We'll talk about how to use these keys to enhance your app promotion strategy, and we'll also take a look at examples from Instant Encore partners along the way. So let's get started with the 5 keys to acquiring downloads and motivating usage. I call these keys because they unlock your ability to connect with patrons in a meaningful way and ensure that your mobile app helps to foster a stronger relationship with them. The first key to this is related to how you think about your app. So key number 1 is thinking about your app as a service. Your app's a lot of things. It's a convenient content management tool and repository for your patrons to see multimedia, to get event information. It's also an engagement tool. You have the ability to engage people before they arrive, even before they buy a ticket. You can engage them on site at the venue. You can also engage them after the show's over and keep them engaged between events. But aside from that, your app is actually a service. It's a service for your patrons, and it's a service that keeps them connected to you and reminds them of the great things going on with your organization. It can also help them dive deeper into the art itself. So if you start thinking of your app as a service for your patrons, that will begin to inform the content you're sharing through the app, as well as the messages that you send to your app users' devices. Additionally, I want you to start thinking of your app as a thank you gift. Now you may be thinking, a gift for what? Fair question. Patrons who download your app are giving you real estate on what's arguably their most personal of devices. They don't do that for everyone. When they download your app, they're showing you that they are invested in a relationship with you, much more so than someone casually visiting your website as a result of an online search. Since they are investing in a relationship with you, it's important to consider how you can use your app to thank them for that. And there are different ways of doing that. You might consider mobile-only content. For example, those of you who are using at the venue to create on-site experiences for your app users, you may be using special things to know, to provide trivia about the work, to provide deeper information about the artists who are involved. You may be providing background information that's not covered in standard program notes. Those types of things can be mobile-only content. You can also have mobile-first content. So an example of mobile-first content, say you were to upload a video to YouTube, perhaps an interview with an artist who's going to be appearing in an upcoming event. You could designate the visibility of that YouTube video as unlisted, which means that it wouldn't appear in a YouTube search, but anyone who had the direct link to the video would be able to view it. Then what you could do is you could send a push note to your app users that was connected to that YouTube link so that they would have first look at that interview. And then 24 hours later, you just change the visibility from unlisted to public. Then the video would appear on your videos page in the app, and it would also appear on your YouTube channel on the YouTube website. That's just an example of how you could do mobile first content. You might also have mobile only or mobile first offers. For example, if you are using At the Venue, you may have a mobile only offer. If I look at the offers area, I'll see an offer to show this screen to the concessionaire and get a free cookie with a drink, or I may see the ability to get $1 off parking by showing the screen to the parking attendant across the street. An example of a mobile first offer might be if you're going to do single ticket sales, you're about to release single ticket sales for a particular event or for your season, you could schedule it so that people with the app receive a push notification 24 hours in advance, letting them know that they have special access for 24 hours to single ticket sales before the rest of the general public. That's an example of a mobile first offer versus a mobile only offer. But mobile first content and mobile only content are great ways to say thank you to people who have invested in your brand. Now, the second key to acquiring downloads is identifying the compelling reason or reasons for a patron to download your app. From a patron's point of view, ask the question, why should I download your app? What constitutes a compelling reason varies, but it should always be approached from the patron's point of view. Remember, the question is, why should I download your app? Not, why do you want me to download your app? They're two very different questions. Now, when our partners registered for this webinar, I had them answer a question, which was, what's the most important reason for a patron to download your app? So let's take a look at the answers. 46% of them indicated that keeping up with event information and performance dates was the most important reason for a patron to download the app. Perhaps. But one thing to consider is, can I do that with your website? Oftentimes, if I'm able to do something with your website, then that doesn't constitute a compelling reason for me to download an app onto my device and use it. If I'm going to download an app onto my device, I generally expect to be able to do something with that app that I'm not able to do with that organization's website. Now, that was 46% of webinar registrants who responded in that manner. You'll notice there are a number of responses. That's because some of our registrants couldn't limit themselves to one response or one important reason, and that's okay. They have many reasons. It's all good. So it jumps from 46% down to 17% who said that buying tickets is the most important reason to download the app. And again, my question would be regarding that, can I do that through your website? If I can do that through your website, then doing it through your app isn't necessarily a compelling reason. Also, something to bear in mind with these two particular, what if I'm a subscriber? If I'm a subscriber, then chances are I already have my tickets. I already know the show dates. I probably already know the event information in terms of what's going to be playing. So these two options, they don't really speak compellingly to subscribers. So maybe one of the questions you need to ask is, what's the most important reason for a subscriber to download your app? And maybe those answers are different than the answers for a general patron to download your app. Something to consider. So that was 17%. Then it drops down to 13% who said that promotion, having a convenient content source on a mobile device, and keeping up with organizational news. Then 8% said enhancing their experience at the venue, or to find out more about the work, or to stay connected with us. And here are some singular responses from individuals. To deepen his or her relationship with us. Exposure was one answer. And exposure is a rather ambiguous term. It could mean an app user's exposure to the work, exposure to new events. It could be exposure to multimedia content. Or they could mean that by having an app available, it increases their exposure. It's hard to say. Engagement's also another ambiguous term. So one of those questions I would have is, how is your app engaging? Are you engaging people before they buy a ticket? Are you engaging people after they buy a ticket but before the show starts? Are you engaging people when they're on site at the venue? Are you engaging people after the show's over? How are you engaging people between events? So there's a lot of ways that you can engage. The question is, how are you engaging? And exclusive content and offers. This one's a little interesting, isn't it? Because it brings up the idea of exclusivity. And if we go back to what I was saying earlier about your mobile app being a thank you gift for people who are invested with your brand, providing them a bit of exclusivity is a great way to thank them. Whether it's exclusive content or exclusive offers, which would be mobile only, like mobile only content or mobile only offers. Or whether you're doing mobile first rather than mobile only. That's fine too. Now the next one, patron retention. Obviously, this one comes from the organization's point of view. I don't think there are a lot of people out there who download an app and go, I want to be retained. So yeah, it's obviously coming from the organization's point of view, but we know what they mean. They want people to keep coming back. They want them to stay engaged. Now this last one might be a little odd because it's so specific. Weather alerts on concert days. So this may be a little odd to some of you, but maybe it's less odd when I tell you that this is for an outdoor performance space. So Levitt Pavilion Arlington, they launched their app in April of 2016. They're an outdoor performance venue that provides free music concerts to the people of Arlington. Couple of things here. One, it's outdoor, so of course inclement weather can be a challenge. But two, it's free events rather than ticketed events. So you don't necessarily have the information for everyone who plans to attend. And even if you did, even with a ticketed event, you could send an email, but sending that email doesn't mean that someone's going to read it in time. Especially if you just have to decide that afternoon to cancel an event due to weather. But, additionally, because this is, these are free events, that means that they don't know necessarily everyone who's planning to attend. But by having weather alerts go out through their app, they have the ability to reach the people who are more invested in their work and more likely to attend their concerts and let them know that this particular concert has been canceled. So you can see they promote that in different places. This is our refrigerator magnet for their summer season, and they were giving it high visibility. And then you notice the first thing on there is weather alerts, even above concert information. Those weather alerts, they're not only compelling, but they also make the app indispensable for people who like to attend shows at the pavilion. Now, another thing that Levitt Pavilion Arlington did to acquire downloads is they provided a piece of engagement on site. This is an example of a slide that was projected at the venue during events. And it says, tell us what you think, rate tonight's artist, and vote to bring them back to the Levitt Arlington app. Or on the Levitt Arlington app, sorry. So the idea here is that I come to the event. Maybe I didn't even know there was an app yet. But I see this slide, and it tells me that I can rate tonight's artist and vote to bring them back. that's compelling. That's something I want to do. I want to engage that way. I want to give my feedback. I want to put in my 2 cents. So it's a good reason for downloading the app while I'm on site. Now, as I mentioned, the Pavilion launched in April of 2016, and within the first 3 months, they acquired nearly 2,800 downloads, which is a really healthy acquisition rate for the first 3 months of having their app live. And they did it really with 2 simple, compelling reasons. 1, weather alerts. 2, rate the act you just saw. Now, what's a compelling reason for your organization? Again, that could be different. Maybe, weather alerts isn't the thing, but maybe alerts for mobile first content is a key thing. Or maybe mobile only offers is a great reason for people to download. But again, I would say 2 key points here are the 2 things that they highlighted are things that people could not do on their website. Now, key number 3, you need to identify your compelling reasons for people to keep the app on their device. The compelling reason for me to download your app may not be a compelling reason for me to keep the app on my device. Now, in the case of Levitt Pavilion Arlington, they do have one of those 2 compelling reasons that is a compelling reason to keep it on the app after I leave the event. So if I go to the show and what gets me to download the app is that I want to rate the act. So I do that. Why would I keep the app on my device afterwards? Well, I may want to keep it on my device because I want to get those weather alerts to let me know if upcoming concerts have been canceled. So they do provide both a great reason to download and also a reason that can also be a reason to keep the app. So now again, you have to look at it from your own point of view. What are your reasons for people to download the app? And what are your reasons for people to keep the app on their device? And there's some different ways to think about this too. I mentioned earlier the difference between patrons, general patrons, and subscribers. So a compelling reason for someone to download the app as a subscriber might be that they will have access to exclusive content about events whenever they arrive for a performance. That's a great reason to also keep it on the device. For a patron, if this is a single ticket purchase that gets me into the venue, I see a message saying that there is exclusive content available for tonight's show on the app, and I download the app. Then why am I going to keep it? Well, maybe one of the reasons I want to keep it is that you have mobile first offers available to app users, or mobile only content or mobile only offers available to app users, and that's a reason for me to keep it. So you have to think about your own business cases and what are your reasons for people to download it that are compelling for them, not just compelling for you, but compelling for them. And then what are the reasons for them to keep it on their devices that, again, is compelling for them, not just for you. And then you need to promote the appropriate compelling reason or reasons at the right time. So, what do I mean by that? Well, we've often talked about how the app has the ability to engage people at different points in their relationship to a performance. Before the show, even before you buy a ticket, once you arrive on site, after the show's over, in between events. So then the question becomes, what are the compelling reasons to present to people at these different points in their relationship with a performance? If I see a flyer for a particular event or performance at a coffee shop, maybe I don't have a certain level of investment with you yet. Maybe what's really intriguing me is the flyer for the event that I'm looking at. So then what becomes a compelling reason for that person to download your app? Is it so that they can learn more about that particular performance that you're advertising? Is it so that they can get alerts to ticket sales for that particular performance? What is it that's going to be compelling for them at that point? What if I just made a single ticket purchase? What might be compelling then? Perhaps I'm going to get a confirmation email for my ticket, and you could have a message on there telling me that there's exclusive content going to be available in the app on the day of the show. Well, for me, that's a compelling reason for me to download the app, so I have access to that information. And then thinking about once I download the app, then what? You have your welcome message, your welcome screen, and the welcome screen goes right into my opting in to receive notifications. Notifications can be a great reason for somebody to keep the app on their device. So it's important for you to give me some options for things I can opt in for, to allow me to provide you information so that you can target those messages and keep them hyper relevant to me. There are a lot of places where you might put out a compelling reason. How do you communicate with patrons who are in your venue? If I'm standing in line at the box office and I see a sign telling me that I can download the app and get mobile-only offers or mobile-first offers for ticket sales, that's something that would appeal to me, especially if I'm standing in line at the box office waiting to buy tickets. When I think about, wow, if I had the app on my device and I got these notifications, not only could I get the tickets through my phone, but I could get them at a reduced rate or a discounted rate. That's a compelling reason. So how are you communicating with your patrons who are in your venue? Do you have signage near the box office? Do you have signage in the lobby, either electronic signage, pop-up banners? Curtis Institute of Music, they have a pop-up banner for their at the venue experiences because they work with different venues. So they take the banner wherever the venue that they're using and then pop it up in the lobby. Dallas Summer Musicals, they have little business cards located on tables in the lobby that encourage people to download the app and get special content about tonight's show. Do you have printed programs? Are your printed programs highlighting a compelling reason for people to download your app and to keep it on their device afterwards? So thinking about all the different ways that you can communicate or are communicating with patrons who are in your venue. And then how do you communicate with patrons who are off-site? This could be both current patrons, potential patrons, subscribers. You can think about the myriad of ways in which you are communicating with people and how can you insert compelling messaging in those places to encourage people to download your app. So it really is about leveraging the communication opportunities you have to share that compelling reason rather than fabricating or creating entirely new communication channels for promoting the app. It's about inserting it into what you're already doing, but inserting it in a way that is compelling. And that takes us to the fifth key, which is to deliver on the promise of your compelling reasons. So, part of that means look for easy ways to reward your app users for investing in your brand or your organization. Look for those easy thank yous, whether it's mobile first content, mobile only content, and overcome your fear of push notifications. A lot of organizations are afraid to use push. They believe that people will get annoyed from receiving push notifications and that they will remove the app from their device. But here's the thing about push notifications. They're opt-in communication. If I opt in to receive notifications from you and I take the time to provide you with personal information or to opt into interest categories, and then I don't receive messaging from you, it's a lost opportunity. It's a lost opportunity for you, but it's also a lost opportunity for me to stay connected with you. So don't lose that opportunity. Take the time to determine how you're going to use those personal information categories and those interest category opt-in fields to target your notifications to segments of your app users so that your communication with them can be relevant. Relevant communication is not annoying. Even if I have, a number of messages from you within the month, if those messages are relevant based on things that I've told you I'm interested in or that apply to me and my personal information that I've provided to you, it's not annoying. So you just have to overcome a fear that people will be annoyed by it. People will never be annoyed by relevance. So as long as you keep your communications relevant, you won't be providing annoying notifications. And take advantage of features within the control panel to help you with your workflow. Remember that you can sync your at the venue experiences with your events so that you don't have to create an at the venue experience every time you create an event. That experience will automatically be created for an event that you put into the system. You can also add default content to your at the venue experiences. Perhaps there are a couple of things to know that you always want to appear for an at the venue experience. For example, Dallas Summer Musicals, they always encourage people to stop by the box office to see if they can upgrade their ticket for tonight's show. Others encourage people to stop by the concession bar and place their drink orders in advance before intermission so that all they have to do is come and pick them up. So think about different things that may always be things to know that you want to remind people of for their on-site experience. You could also have default offers. Perhaps you're working with a particular restaurant for this season. You could have a standing offer with them that's available during at the venue experiences, where it encourages people to show the screen to the server at the restaurant and get 10% off their meal. Or again, you could be working with a particular parking garage, and I can show the screen to the parking attendant and get $1 off parking. And those may be offers that you always want to be available in the app. So those could be default content. You could also have custom tabs or pages that are default content. For example, maybe you have a donate page that you always want to be front and center in the at the venue experience. You could absolutely have that become default content, with the idea being that you just saw a great show, help us to make sure that we'll have more great shows in the future. Perfect way to insert the idea of donating into someone's experience that they just had that was great. And remember, you can schedule your push notifications in advance. Even if you're hyper-targeting them, you can still target and schedule in advance. So I could sit down and take 15-20 minutes and create my push notifications for the month to go out. And remember, you can also schedule event-specific geofence messages. So perhaps if I have an artist talk back tonight, I may want to have a custom geofence message for tonight's event that welcomes people to the show and encourages them to stay afterwards for the artist talk back. Or maybe I want to invite them to a pre-concert reception or a post-concert meet and greet. Those are small touches, but those are small touches that are welcome touches. They're thank you gifts, again, for somebody who purchased a ticket and downloaded your app, and there's a certain level of investment with your brand. Now, you may be thinking about all these things and saying, this is too much. I can't take the time to think about compelling reasons and to chart out my communication points, and it's just too much. We're here for you. Instant Encore recently launched a new service called AMP, App Management Pro. The idea here is you may feel as though you don't have enough time in the day to stay on top of your mobile engagement strategy, or you're just so overwhelmed that it's hard to keep up with things like scheduling push notifications or scheduling at the venue content. Again, we're here for you. Your App Management Pro will work with you to maximize your mobile engagement strategy, to optimize your app's features, to create a push notification schedule that's providing targeted, relevant messaging to various segments of your app user population. Will also help you to establish geofences, set up custom messages for different events, have at the venue content available for all of your events, and also help with content management like putting events into the system. So if this is something that sounds like it would be a benefit to your organization, please feel free to contact me. You can give me a call, or you can email me at david@instantencore.com. And you can also contact me if you have any questions about what you saw in this recording today. If you're not sure what your compelling reason is for people to download your app, or your compelling reason for people to keep your app, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call, and we can talk about it. Thank you for your time today, and I hope you start putting out those compelling messages and getting tons of downloads. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.